Kenneth Bowling is a 6-year-old veteran who lives here in Lafayette. He had become homeless due to unfortunate circumstances he was facing. According to an article Dustin Grove wrote for the Channel 13 News, Kenneth had to stay in his car for a couple of days. He ended up going to the Lafayette Transitional Housing Community and received shelter and was taken care of by some of the people there. While this is a great example of how the problem is being helped, 2 out of the 3 of us are residents and can attest to just how much more help is needed for this problem. There are many homeless people the same ages as you and me. To better help understand and to help them, we need to first understand the problem that we have, the current ways it's being addressed and helped, and also finally what we plan to do to help. First, I'll be starting off by telling what the problem is and some of the root causes. Then Caroline will be telling you about some of the existing ways the problem is being helped, and Eric will then tell you about the ways we plan to help this. Finally, Caroline will wrap us up. So first off, we're going to talk about the problem. There are 5,471 people in Indiana who are homeless on any given day. Of that 5,471 people, 455 are family households with children, and then 258 of them are unaccompanied youth, young people, kids even. And the public school data reported to the U.S. Department of Education during the 2017 and 2018 school year that an estimated 18,625 public school students experienced homelessness over the course of the year. Also, the unemployment rate for the Lafayette is 9.7% as of June of 2020, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are just some of the most prevalent issues of homelessness, with not nearly enough help being offered. So next, we are going to be talking about some of the root causes for this. Domestic abuse and drug addiction are very, very common reasons why. So, according to multiple studies that have been done, of the many women with children who are currently homeless, more than 80% had previously experienced domestic violence. So this could be domestic as in my significant other beating me, I leave. It could have been family violence, any situation where they're home and the place that they're at is no longer safe for them. Another reason is the drug addiction. So, according to the National Coalition for the Homeless has found that 38% of the homeless are alcohol dependent and 26% are dependent on other harmful chemicals, such as opioids and narcotics. So they have drug addictions that they are struggling with and they're trying to get help, but they can't. So these are just some issues that need to be addressed and better helped. So as I have told you about the problem at hand, some of the root causes, I will now hand it over to Caroline to talk about some of the existing ways the problem is being helped.
Thank you, Joe. There are so many existing ways that the problem of homelessness is being addressed. In Lafayette, we have many different organizations. These organizations are so important because once you fall into homelessness, it takes open arms and a community to help you get back on your feet. So some existing ways that these problems are being addressed is transitional housing. In Lafayette, we have 2 different transitional housing opportunities for homeless people. So the first one we have is Lafayette Transitional Housing, and they are pretty much the foundation of all transitional housing that we have in Lafayette. So when it comes to getting people into a house, they own houses to have people in, they pay the amount of rent, and it's based on their income, so it's different for any person compared to like how much they make. They also get you set up with kitchenware that's been donated, clothes for the different seasons, and any sanitary or products that you would need depending on who you are. And so we also have the Lincoln Center, which the Lincoln Center is part of Lafayette Transitional Housing, but it's mainly just a home for homeless people, a place they can stay. They have apartments, and they don't pay fees. They're just there. And most of the time, though, these are older homeless people who have come to the point where they're just angry with their life and they just want somewhere to live for what they have left. It's kind of sad, but that's kind of how it pans out to be. And so we also have nonprofit shelters. So we have the YWCA, which is the women's shelter. So, as you learned earlier, so domestic violence is a big reason why a lot of people become homeless and go to different shelters. And so, the YW is a great place to go if that is a situation that you are in. And we also have Home for Hope. And Home for Hope is if you have a problem with a drug addiction, they give you housing and they also make sure that you have access to AA and NA meetings, so Alcoholic Anonymous and narcotics, and make sure that like you stay on track and they're drug-free housing and alcohol-free housing to make sure that you are successful and being able to find your housing and get back up on your feet. So, why do we need transitional housing? So, when it comes to getting back up your feet, like I mentioned earlier, it takes a lot and you can't do it on your own. It's almost impossible. And so, it's been said by many, like, well, if you're homeless, just like get a job application, get a job. Well, it's a lot more than that. And the problem is that because of how society's set up today, yeah, they can walk in and McDonald's and they can get a job application, but they don't have an address. They probably don't have a bank account. And the clothes that you wear nice clothes to an interview. First impression is a big ordeal. And the thing is some of these companies and some of these places don't want to hire people because they don't have a steady home to go to. And transportation, they don't have a car. And so it takes a lot of different people to help you make sure that all of those steps are achieved so that you can be successful. And so that's why transitional housing and having something like Lafayette Transitional Housing is so important for everyone. And so another thing I wanted to touch on is defeating the stereotypes of all homeless people. I feel like a lot of people think that because we've mentioned that homeless people most of the time because of domestic violence or substance abuse, that is who they are. They're druggies, and they're not. And like the other thing too is having personal lack of worth ethic. Most of the time these people, when you get put down in this depressive state, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been depressed before. It's very hard to get out. And then you find out rock bottom has a basement, and a lot of these people are stuck in that and they can't get out, and they need that one person to help them get out. And so as Eric will mention later, he'll touch more on that. But that's something, that stereotype and that norm needs to be broken. So with all that being said, we're going to go on to Eric. Eric's going to talk about spreading awareness and different ways you can do so. Both of the ideas are pretty neat, so please listen.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm going to be talking about our plans to help resolve the issue. We want to distribute brochures to spread awareness and ask for donations, as well as conduct a fundraiser. These two solutions are not mutually exclusive, and thus we hope to ideally implement both of them. So let's first talk about the brochures. What do we hope to accomplish? Well, we want to relieve the stigma against people who are in need of a home. In 2017, Jennifer L. Rich states in the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness newsfeed that Americans tend to misunderstand the structural and societal causes of homelessness, and instead believe that homelessness is entirely caused by an individual's own actions. And this is simply not true. This stereotype that all homeless people are substance abusers or are in their situations due to a lack of personal work ethic is simply something that we have to get rid of. So why are we using brochures? Well, they're really cost effective. According to Flotman Company Incorporated in 2016, brochures are a low-cost marketing plan in comparison to other marketing options, especially those that are online. Furthermore, brochures decrease in price if you buy in bulk, and this is really apparent when you look at the USA Printing Center website. You can see the cost associated with making an 8.5 by 11 inch brochure that's double-sided and with color. If you produce 400 of those, it'll cost you $111.90, with a per unit cost of 28 cents. If you double the amount that you are creating and make 800 brochures, the cost only increases to $149.99, with a per unit cost that's lower of 18 cents. You can also save even more money if you simply choose a shipping option that takes a longer amount of time. So producing brochures is very cheap. That's the idea. But are brochures going to be effective in our situation? And the answer is yes. Even in the digital age that we live in, people value printed goods, and that includes brochures. Bentley's Visitor International Brochure Distribution Research in 2018, conducted by Professor Ian Cross, had 2020 respondents across North America and Western Europe. The research found that on average, 79% of visitors pick up a brochure, and 85% of visitors become aware of a certain business or attraction because of picking up that brochure. These numbers are relevant because of how so many people are coming to Purdue now in order to help our fellow students move in. They are visitors, and thus Bentley's research and the resulting statistics applies to them. So on our brochure, we want to have a synopsis of what Joe talked about, being the homelessness problem, and Ken's story, as well as an overview of Lafayette's existing efforts, which you just heard about from Caroline. These brochures' primary purpose will be to implore people to support these programs, as well as inform them of our fundraiser, which I'm going to talk about next. So our second solution of the fundraiser is inspired by something done by the Grace United Methodist Recovery Center called One Night Without a Home. For our fundraiser, participants will pay $75 to sleep on the street on a specified night and experience what these homeless people go through every single day. Furthermore, they will be told that if they cannot make it through the night, if they opt out because they just can't take sleeping on the street, then we will ask them to pay an additional fee. The donation amount will be negotiable. We're not going to just have it hard set at $75, but we're having it at $75 initially because we're unsure of the turnout. But if the turnout is anything like that of the One Night Without a Home program, then we'll be completely fine. In 2017, according to News Sentinel article Rescue Missions One Night Without a Home, the program raised $50,000 off of one night. And if we could reproduce just a fraction of these results, it would be an amazing situation. The $3,000 that you give us will be well worth it. Furthermore, the participants who do successfully make it through the program, we're going to give them a reward. We're going to give them this t-shirt, which I designed on the platform called Bonfire. On the website, you can make any kind of t-shirt, and a lot of organizations use this for fundraising in order to make their own t-shirts for it. I'd like to hope that people would wear this t-shirt because I made it myself, and if they do, they're freely advertising our campaign, and if they keep on advertising it and more people participate, it'll become self-sustainable, and that's the ideal situation, which will allow us to make money every single year. So in summary, I talked about the ways that we hope to help the problem of homelessness. We will distribute brochures and conduct a fundraiser similar to that of the One Night Without a Home program. Obviously, these two things alone will not reduce homelessness in Lafayette to zero, but they will certainly help. We are all members of this community, so let's do our job to take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And to wrap things up, so we have worked with better ways to help the homeless population, the need to understand the problem, and the current ways that people are being helped. I hope that we have demonstrated that we are able to solve the problem with even small steps, and even if the problem isn't solved, to make life better for these people. And it takes a village to be successful, and everyone deserves that. So our call to action is to donate and to get involved to help people like Kenneth and help them get back on their feet. And now for questions.